Ladies and gentlemen, fellow human beings, thank you for being here. Today is a special day because today we are analyzing a man who in 2018 was awarded the best president of a lifetime, who has consistently, year after year after year, won the prize of being the most admired man on Earth. I am, of course, talking about the man who by some referred to as the greatest communicator on Earth, Barack Obama. And the key is here. What can you take with you from him? Why did he become so great? Well, I know, and I want to teach you. My name is David JP Phillips, and I'm a global public speaker and coach. Now, I spent the last 7 years studying 5,000 public speakers in order to identify every single skill we use when we communicate and speak publicly. I came to the number 110 core skills and 150 sub-skills, and they look like this. And the more of them you fulfill, the more brilliant you are. In my last video, I analyzed Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and I scored them individually. After that, messages came pouring down on my Instagram, on my Facebook, on YouTube, on my LinkedIn, in my email. Please do Barack Obama. Please do Barack Obama. I want to see, why is he so amazing? Let's dive in and see what makes him so amazing. But just to make this a little bit more interesting, there's a progression line here. Yeah, well, you'll see Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The question is, will Barack Obama pass them both, just one of them, or maybe none of them? As we progress and Obama scores, I will, with the help of Aristotle, bump his head to show that score increase. Are you ready? I am.
Thank you very much, everybody.
I just love how nuanced that beginning is. He hasn't even begun speaking yet, but it's so beautifully delivered. What he does there is that you have 5 ways of delivering a message: body language, gestures, facial expressions, voice, and words. And in this case, he's just using his facial expressions, words, and voice in order to say thank you. If he'd added body language by leaning forwards and his gestures by doing this, it would have been seen as too dominant and too superior. And he doesn't. So it's beautifully nuanced to begin with.
Michelle, I love you so much.
I love you so much. Oh, that is beautiful. Normally, you don't share personal and private things in a setting like this. You do it at home, don't you, with friends? That's what he creates. He creates a friendship because people see that he shares something personal and private, and therefore he must be their friend. Beautiful strategy.
Malia and Sasha, we are
bringing in his children, doing exactly the same thing again.
And yes, you do have to go to school in the morning.
Did you catch that? That is on the edge of brilliant. Listen to how he pronunciated morning. Morning or morning?
And yes, you do have to go to school in the morning.
I assure you that was specifically studied, that he should say exactly that word like that. Because when he says it morning, it seems like he's just one among everybody else in the way that he pronunciates it. If it's over-articulated, morning, he wouldn't have given the same impression. Brilliant.
And Joe Biden, thank you for being the very best vice president I could have ever hoped for. And
paying respect. When you pay respect to the audience or somebody around you, that increases serotonin levels in them. You become more likable because you show that you like other people. Boop. Point for that. You should start every speech, if possible, if you feel something for the audience, by giving them respect.
Madam Chairwoman, delegates, I accept your nomination.
Whoa! Did you see that? Going slow, and he had a different kind of prosody and pace and volume before, and then suddenly he goes into change his section and he goes into a quicker pace, quicker volume, and a change of prosody. And he does that to make it clear to us that now he's changing from the respect phrase, being a bit soft, being a bit personal, to going into, now we're talking serious stuff. Beautiful change of voice.
Madam Chairwoman, delegates, I accept your nomination.
You see how he shakes his head? Very subtle. He's got a second tell, and that is that he moves his body, almost like he's going to go into a boxing match. And the third tell is that he uses his mouth, clenches lips. Whenever he gets serious about something, whenever he's launching into something, whenever he shows excitement, those 3 tells pop up. Shaking head, moving body, and clenched lips. You can say, hey, but David, a tell, that can't be a good thing. It's good as long as you're honest. And maybe that could be a key thing to him, because when it comes to communication skills and being likable, the easier you are to read, the more person will like you, because the more they will feel that they can trust you. You know when you walk into a room and there's a person in the the room and you cannot read them at all. Something's off, something's in your tummy. You won't trust them, you won't like them. But if you meet a person and it feels like you can read their entire being, you trust them immediately. So I believe this could be a key core feature of becoming the most admired man on earth, if that's what you're looking for, or admired woman. Plenty of scores on that. So many sweet skills being used in this.
Now, the first time I addressed this convention in 2004, I was a younger man.
I've said before that don't use filler sounds. I wouldn't say that don't use filler sounds at all. Use them when they are functional. And in this case, they're functional. He uses 2 filler sounds. It is a way to de-dramatize what he's going to say. And as it's leading up to a joke, it's a beautiful transition into the joke. That facial expression.
In 2004, I was a younger man.
I was a younger man. The use of his voice and facial expression invites the interpretation that this may be a joke.
In 2004, I was a younger man.
Beautiful execution.
Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty.
Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. That is called an anaphora. You begin the sentence with the same word. Very powerful stuff. Use it.
That dogged faith in the future which has pushed this nation forward.
Pushed this nation forward. That's a functional gesture. Boop.
When the road is long.
Shakes his head in disbelief and uses the metaphor of a road. Beep, beep.
8 years later, that hope has been tested.
Nods when he says it. That hope has been tested. So he's using non-verbal communication to convey that that has definitely been tested. This is like poetry, man. It's like the singing angels around me.
By one of the worst economic crises in history, and by political gridlock that's left us wondering whether it's still even possible to tackle the challenges of our time. I know campaigns can seem small.
His pauses are to die for. God, every single time you pause, you allow for the person listening to digest, understand, and reflect and feel what you've just said.
I know campaigns can seem small, even silly sometimes.
So freaking good. Listen to the prosody, the way that he says small and silly. He puts the value into them. The word small, he makes small, and the word silly, he says in a silly way.
Can seem small, even silly sometimes.
Silly. The details in this man's language is...
Trivial things become big distractions. Serious issues become sound bites.
Using the skill of opposites.
The truth gets buried under an avalanche.
Avalanche is a metaphor.
I mean, if you're sick of hearing me approve this message, believe me, so am I.
Using humor in your speech increases the level of endorphins in the people listening to you, and that makes you more likable again. People want to feel good. And did you notice that this time he used a different kind of face?
So am I.
Tell a joke with a straight face is a different skill from the last one that he used. Burp, burp, burp.
When you pick up that ballot to vote, you will
You pointing to you.
face the clearest choice of any time in a generation.
Shakes his head in disbelief. Do you understand how important this is?
Be made in Washington on jobs, the economy, taxes,
Using his forehead and eyes.
energy, education.
Energy, education, that's an alliteration. We find it easy to remember alliterations because they rhyme, they sound like music.
And on our children's lives for decades to come.
Decades to come. There's another tell. Have a look at his lip. You'll notice that in the speeches where he's a little bit stressed, he puts his tongue between his teeth and his lip. And the reason we do that is because the sympathetic nervous system is running wild, and the sympathetic nervous system can either make us super nervous or they can make us excited. It's hard to tell which one he is at the moment. Is he nervous or is he excited? By pushing his tongue between his lip and his teeth, he reduces that tension. I'm going to jump to the real action now. I'm going to jump to the end to just show you what that looks like.
At Walter Reed Hospital, still recovering from a grenade attack.
Adding storytelling. Storytelling is the most powerful tool on earth. I know that he'll use that as a parallel to his vision and mission with the campaign. It's a beautiful transition, like mind-blowing. Just listen to how he does that. What you say, Aristotle?
Racing with his fellow wounded warriors on a sparkling spring day.
Functional gestures.
I don't know if they'll vote for me.
Double shoulder shrug. Shows authenticity.
Ours is a future filled with hope.
Listen to the climax increase.
And if you share that faith with me, if you share that hope with me, I ask
If you share, that's an anaphora.
for your vote.
For your vote. Points. Now connects the story to the mission.
That this nation's promise
Volume increase.
is reserved.
Climax. Climax.
This must be heard in this election. If you reject the notion that
Climax. If each sentence is beginning with if, creating an anaphora, creating that melody, that music, people are hearing him sing at the moment.
to the highest bidder, you need to stand up in this election.
See, his gestures are getting more distinct. His entire body language is matching his voice. This is too much. You cannot understand what this means to me. I've watched 5,000 public speakers. Seeing things like this gets me excited, for real. This is like the most exciting thing in my life. Watching people this skilled launch so many synchronized skills like this. I think it's hard to comprehend. When you hear everything is synchronized, that gives you goosebumps. This gives me goosebumps. Freaking it.
If you believe,
And he goes again. Volume increase. Climax.
landscape, that new energy can power our future, that new schools can provide ladders of opportunity, everyone gets a fair shot.
Did you see that little self-laughter? Did you see that self-laughter? Adding that, like, come on, that's obvious. We need to have this. We need to have functional schools.
If you believe in a country where everyone gets a fair shot and everyone does their fair share
No way!
by the same rules, then I need you to vote.
And then, boom, switches over to even more distinct gestures, distinct facial expression. I'm blown away by this man. I am blown away. Now it's time for the score, don't you think, Aristotle? Did he score more than Donald Trump and Joe Biden? Well, let's find out. So in order for these scores to be consistent, I always rate the first 20 minutes of any talk, never anything else. So this last bit, I cannot include. If I'd included that, it would have probably scored even more. But the first 20 minutes, in order to make it consistent and make scores comparable to each other. So let's have a look at how he did. Here we go. Each score, individually rated, individually weighed. And it is time. What do you say? The score is, badam, 85! Ladies and gentlemen, that is shockingly high. But there's 110. Why didn't get 110? Well, the thing is this. When you're standing behind a speaker's chair, you are very limited to what you can do. If you're a public speaker on stage, you can probably reach 95, maybe 100, somewhere around there. But you need to be a stand-up comedian to reach the 105, 110. Wow, that was, my pulse is up here. I am sweating. This was the most exciting thing I've done all week. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I am finished. I hope you appreciate the level of details that he showed us and that you got to learn in order to become the most admired man or woman on earth, if you want to go for that. Wow. Aristotle, over and out.